Well, thanks for joining us here tonight. Hello, everybody. I'm JT Crabtree, and welcome to the 2024 Dugout Club preseason meeting. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for everything you do to support South Alabama athletics and South Alabama baseball as well. If you guys don't yet have a ticket from the front door, we're doing a random drawing for some door prizes later on. So if you've got a ticket, great. Hold on to it. We'll give out those prizes as we go along. But also, if you don't have one, make sure you run up here to the front table and grab one. Make sure Alex Pastor doesn't have two. So we're going to do the format a little bit differently this year. We'll do some Q&A here with Coach, and we've got two student athletes as well to join us as well. We'll also have an opportunity for you guys to ask Coach and the student athletes questions as we go along. So first off, the head man himself, give it up for head coach Mark Calvey.
Actually, give it up for our two better pinch runners in the back, Will Turner and Joe Sullivan. They'll be really great for depth off the bench this year, those two guys.
Coach, 13th season as the head man. How's the offseason for you?
It's been great so far, JT. It really has. Team's been great. You know, usually very few issues off the field means very few issues on the field, and hopefully if we stay away from the injury bug, I like the makeup of the team. I really do. We have a lot of experience back and some guys out of the transfer portal with experience, but they're the right guys, you know. So yeah, it's just been a fantastic group. They like each other. They practice hard. They work hard and go to class and do all the right things. And yeah, they've been an exemplary group so far.
How's summer ball for the guys? I know a lot of guys had some really big summers and some big spots. How'd that go?
We did. We had a lot of guys go off and have a lot of success. Guys, you know, Turner was in the Cape and Sully was in the draft league and had an opportunity to leave us and turn down some money and came back, which was great. And he's betting on himself this year, and we're betting on him. So he did the right thing. A lot of guys, you know, Coastal Plains League and Northwoods League all around the country in some very, very competitive leagues, and all went out and represented themselves and the university with you know, first class.
What did you guys kind of focus on when you were putting this roster together for this 24 season?
Well, this roster, a lot of this roster was put together in 21. And as I sat there, and we were in the 8th inning in the regionals in Gainesville, and with a chance, we're a hit away to go to a super regional. We popped up and we struck out, and we eventually lost in the finals, as we know. I had told, we sat down, we talked as a coaching staff, and I said, you know, I'm like, how do we been to a bunch of regionals, the program's been to a bunch of regionals, and I don't take that for granted, but believe me, that's our goal every year, to get into the postseason, win the Sun Belt and get into the postseason. But our goal obviously is to get past that. We want to get to a super, we want to get to the College World Series. And in my opinion, I think the way that we take that next step, because I'm like, how do we take the next step? I'm tired of losing in the regional. I really am. I said, we've got to break through. We can get to a super, we can get to Omaha, and we can challenge for a national title. And in my opinion, we needed to bring in some kids that grow up in the program, meaning I felt as though we were a little too JUCO heavy on the field. Some guys came up with, you know, South Florida came up, and the guy that got the winning hit had 500-600 college at-bats under his belt. You know, our guys that struck out had 120 and 70 college at-bats under their belt. So we needed some guys that grow up in the program with that experience. Don't get me wrong, we have some great junior college players. We'll always recruit junior college players. But I just felt as though you need guys like Brendan Donovan, Dylan Hardy's, Jordan Patterson, Swaggerty, kids like that, you know, that kind of grow up, take their lumps as freshmen, and by the time they're sophomores, they're not falling for the banana in the tailpipe trick, so to speak. So, you know, when Brendan Donovan came up with a chance for us to win the Sun Belt tournament, the game was over. Dylan Hardy was on third, you know, and Brendan Donovan was up, and I'm like, man on third. I'm like, he's going to get it done somehow, some way. This kid's going to get it done. But he was standing up there with 550, 600 college at bats under his belt. And so the way to get that, you got to go younger. is what you need to do. So to answer your question, the focus in 21, because that class, a lot of the guys that are on the field right now, the high school kids, were recruited in the class of 21. They're in the graduating class of 23. So we had 12 freshmen in this class. One I let go because he couldn't handle himself right off the field in high school. Talented player, liked to party more than he liked to practice, so I dumped him. But he wasn't here yet, so it was, I hope he does well, but it's just not going to be here. But this is probably the most young guys we've had on our team. Will this be a young team? No, this will not be. But it'll be reminiscent of, let's say 2017 or 16, where you had 5 freshmen and sophomores on the field every day. That team won 43 games. Now, you look up and you've got a Kevin Hill and a Randy Bell, and you've got a guy closing at the end of the game. You got to have those pieces as well. But this year's team will be anywhere from 2 to 4 freshmen playing. It bodes well. Number one, they can all handle it now. And number 2, it bodes well for the future. So the next time we're in position, hopefully this year, where that guy getting a hit sends us to a super regional, we got some guys with some experience in, and moving forward, we're not stuck with some inexperienced guys and a chance to win or lose the ball game. So yes, and then the transfer portal wasn't a thing when this class was recruited. It is now, as everyone knows, but and then we got some good JUCO guys, and but this is a bigger high school class, so we have more freshmen on the team in the roster than we've ever had since I've been here. That includes that 15 class with Swaggerty, Davis, Perkins, Hardy, Donovan, all those guys. So hopefully it turns out as good as that class. That would be fantastic.
We'll talk roster here more in just a little bit, but your staff is here. You want to introduce your staff here real quick?
No, they're okay. No, Brad Phillips, pitching coach. Nick Magnifico, recruiting coordinator. And he claims that he's the outfield coach now. He's got some pretty good players, so now he's the outfield coach. He only coaches Turner and Sullivan in the outfield. Corley Reynolds, one of my assistants, he handles the infielders. Joey Jones, director of baseball operations. And that's Jason Kelly. He's our sports supervisor. I told him today he was at least the 5th or 6th best in the league, no question about it. So we're happy to have him. No, he's fantastic. We need something. He always answers my call. Let's put it that way. If he can't do it, he at least always answers my call. So yeah, those are our guys here. I think we're missing Derek. He was doing something tonight, but other than that, that's the group.
Well, I wanted to mention Derek because you guys are utilizing some different things offensively, and Derek's a big part of that. Just how will the offense look a little different in the role that Derek's playing with us?
Derek has done a fantastic job. He's a young coach, along with Corley. I got some young guys around me, which is fantastic. But Derek brings that. We've got some speed. We've got some guys that can run. He brings that aspect. We're going to steal more bases. And we've worked at it, and there's a system to it, and I think it's fantastic. If you've come out and watched us play inter squads, I know our catchers, we've driven our catchers and pitchers crazy, but I think we've gotten them better. And I think the teams that can't handle it, if you got to get on base first and foremost, but this is going to be a much more aggressive team stealing bases. Our goal is at least 100 bags this year, and I think we can do more. That's conservative, and you got to stay healthy, but we've got some guys that can steal bases that love doing it, and they've worked hard at it. And it's just, it's been a really cool dimension that he has brought to the program.
Well, let's look at your squad now roster, and we'll go around the horn. We'll start at your position. We'll start at catcher.
At catcher, we're going to keep 3. I have 5 or 6 out there. 2 are injured. We're going to keep 3 active this year. Right now, I will tell you all that there's a couple positions I haven't settled in on. But if we were to start tonight, Duncan Matthews, a freshman, would be behind the plate. He's been absolutely outstanding from the second he got here. till today. He's been outstanding, and he's caught some great arms in high school. And his teammates, arguably the first pick in the draft this year and 1-1 overall. He's throwing 97 miles an hour. Duncan caught him, and he's caught some high-level arms. And he catches our guys. He's just done a fantastic job. So Duncan is definitely leading the way behind the plate.
Your corners have some returners, but also some new guys, right?
We do. Third base, not sure who our starter is yet. Got a couple young guys over there. Tyler Borges is back. Borges fielded 974 last year, and offensively was a little bit, hit or miss, but one of the greatest kids in the world, and he is much, much improved. A lot of times JUCO guys, their second year, just because they're older doesn't mean they're automatically ready to step in and go. You want them to be, but it's still different from the JUCO that they came to. This is a different level. And I've seen Borges right now is much improved over last year at this time. Jackson Milam, who's one of those freshmen, very, very athletic, can be an exciting player, has made some freshman mistakes, but you're going to have to deal with that. But got a great arm, really good range at third. Obviously, Hunter Donaldson bounces around a little bit. Rhett Johnson, another freshman, who's super, athletic, and he's a utility guy. The corner, Micah Morgan's back, who's an outstanding first baseman, and Lucas Ishmaeli, who's a big-time hitter from Manatee Junior College, will play first and DH.
Let's look up the middle now. Well, first off, you said Borges. Are you going to mention him for every position again? Or?
I might, but I might. Yeah, Borges. Except for first. We saw that last year. No more first.
Hey, the foul catch against UAB was pretty solid.
Huh?
The foul catch against UAB was pretty solid.
It was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good. But I keep him far away from the first baseman's glove. We had to last year. We had some injuries. We had to put him over there, and God bless him. He did the best he could. But we keep him away from the first baseman's mitts.
Well, let's look up the middle and on the infield. J.G. Bell's back. Just how has he looked now starting year two?
Fantastic. He's one of those guys too, that year two, he's a different player, older, got experience. A lot of our guys, this is a more experienced team. Last year you looked at it and everyone was new, minus Turner and Sullivan and one or two more guys, and that matters. Experience matters. And even though we have some portal guys, they've all played Division I baseball at a high level. And contributed. A couple have been to Omaha, and a couple guys have really, really done well. So, I like the experience that we have. JG is one of those guys. He's put on 13, 14, 15 pounds, had a little bit of a stomach issue last year, got it under control, has been able to keep weight on, was hitting 550 before he strained a groin muscle in the fall. And, and I think he's hitting 400 right now. Made one error and made two errors in the fall. And I don't know if he's made one in the early spring. So he is just, and he's, everyone gravitates towards him. He's been a great player. He was good, very solid for us last year, and he's cleaned some things up. So he's much, much improved over last year.
Eric Orbeta has graduated, now a GA for you guys. So second base was vacated. How's that look right now?
Right. Second base. Eric was a great player for us. Brennan Holt, he's one of those transfer portal guys. We tried to get him out of high school, and he went to LSU. And when he left LSU, we tried to get him when he left LSU, and he ended up going to Oklahoma State. And, we were calling him, and then finally he left Oklahoma State, and he called us. And I'm like, okay, good. You're ready to come? No, you're not going to look at you're either telling me you're coming right now or not. I want to come to South Alabama. I'm like, okay, you're in. So a little guy, strong, can really run. They fielded 1,000 this fall, did not make an error. And watch, he's going to make 2 tomorrow in inter-squad, but because that's how it goes. But he's been really, really good. He just brings some dimensions to the game offensively. Defensively, he's got great range. But for a little guy that can really run, he's got some power. He's got a little bit of pop, and he can pull the ball, and he can get on base. I think he can steal 30 or 40 bags this year if he takes some walks and he's willing to put some bunts down. And this is a guy if he has a 400 on base percentage, which isn't too much to ask, I think he can easily steal 30 to 40 bags, maybe more. He's one of those guys. So, he's just he's been really good.
Let's look at the outfield now. You've got two of your guys here, just for Will Turner and Joseph Sullivan. What's the next step in year 3 for those guys?
And there's a lot, in publications and this and that, and they've garnered a lot of attention from scouts and much deserved. They've Will at 270 as a freshman and was, I think he ended at 360 last year and went to the Cape and hit 300, the best league in the country. And, Sully, I think, got 100 at-bats as a freshman, and then he hit right at 300 last year, but, a 480 on-base percentage, and then which is out of this world, and went out in maybe the second best league in the country, and OPS through the roof, and I think, led the league in OPS, and just handled, the drafted arms. His metrics were outstanding. So, there's a lot of attention. It's similar to 17 or 18 when all the scouts, when it was Swaggerty and Donovan, and so as long, and I'm not asking them like, hey, year 3, Will, you hit 360 last year, you need to hit 361 this year. Sully, you need to hit 380 this year. If they just go out there and play the way they can play and play for the right reasons, they'll help us get into the postseason. No doubt about it, and they'll get everything that they deserve. Two of the hardest workers that I've had, and they love the work that goes into it, and they do things right on the field, off the field, and make mistakes like everybody else, but there's no issues. And they've been outstanding. They've got a lot of attention. It's deserved, but they don't have to live up to anything. They just have to be who they are. That's all that I ask them to do. I'm sure they're like, I've heard this 1,000 times, but we've talked about it, and they just need to go out there and be who they are on the baseball field. They don't need to play for anybody but the University of South Alabama and themselves, and then the rest, as talented as they are, if they play their game, the rest will fall into its place in whenever the draft is.
That's 2 of the outfielders.
That's 2 of the outfielders.
Those 2 could probably cover the whole thing.
Well, it's great range, so I'm going with 5 infielders and 2 outfielders this year. Sullivan and Turner, they're going to cover the whole thing.
If you want to get crazy, what's a third option for
If
you?
I did go with a third outfielder, right field is, when you look at right field, there's some damn good players in right field. The only problem is only one can play. So someone's got a DH and one can play right field. Robbie Petrossi has been outstanding. Now, Rob was a transfer from Old Dominion last year. Got off to a slow start, and I'm like, look, I'm staying with you. You don't need to look over your shoulder. I'm going to give you a month. As long as you're doing the right things, I'm going to give you a month. And wouldn't you know it, that night he gets hit by a pitch and it breaks his arm. So last year against Lafayette. So he was out for the year. This is a guy that career 300 hitter at Old Dominion, and he coming off a year where he hit 12 home runs and 50-something RBIs. So that hurt us. But he's been fantastic. He really has been fantastic. And the good thing is, Robbie also, he is a good right fielder. He is not our best right fielder, but he is very, very good. If you guys remember Nolan Early, that's who I compare him to Nolan Early out in right field. I really do. And kind of the same hitter, maybe a little more power. But we have 2 other guys that are better defenders, but I kind of look at first base, DH, and you got to have Robbie's bat in the lineup, and you got to have Ishmaeli's bat in the lineup as of right now. So, but there's some other options. Now, unfortunately, we had our first ding of the year, a very outstanding freshman, Jacob Haley, 6'3", 6'4". He's a two-way guy, right-handed pitcher, up to 95, really good curveball. He was going to close some games for us this year, come out of the pen. And if we were to start last Saturday, he would have been opening day DH as a freshman because he's that dangerous. He hit 6 or 7 home runs this fall, and I haven't had a freshman do that. And I've never had that here with the Swaggertys, the Ethan Wilsons. None of them have hit for that kind of power in their freshman year in the fall. And so he fouled a ball off it was at the end of the game, 2 on Saturday. We're almost done. He fouled a ball and off the inside of his leg, and you're like, oh, that hurts. If you play, that's bad. And credit to his toughness. I said, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yes, sir, I'm good." Just kind of holding his leg. He's like, "I'm good." And we had an inning left, and he ended up grounding out, and he ran to first, and then he went out and played defense at first, and made turned a double play. And he texted me that night. He's like, Coach, my foot. And I'm like, okay, let's, if we got to get you to the ER or whatever, if you can wait till tomorrow or whatever. Anyways, he gets x-rayed. He's got just a hairline fracture in his ankle. So, 6 to 8 weeks, but 3 weeks he can start rehab. But it set him back a little bit. This is a two-way guy. It wouldn't shock me if he ran out there in his first at bat, hit one into the trees, because that's the kind of power he has. But so I say that to say this, that he would DH, and that kind of opened some things up where, again, was Robbie our best right fielder? No, he's good, but now Rob kind of slides into DH, and that's something that he is comfortable with. He had done that at Old Dominion, wasn't the polished defender that he is now, so I was going to play him in right. But as you guys know, not everybody can DH. You think it's just hitting. Not everyone. There's an art to it. And Robbie's a guy that has proven he can do it. So he'll DH, and it'll open up right field. Long story short, Ethan Melton, who's a freshman, an exciting player, little guy, big arm, can run, and he's got pop. Like the dude's shorter than me. He's 165 pounds, and he'll hit balls off the scoreboard. Is he going to hit 30 home runs this year? No. But the guy, he sneaks up on you. He hits balls, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe that guy hit the ball that far. And great outfielder. So there's one of those young guys that Ryan Story, a sophomore, didn't play a whole lot last year, has been really, really good. Not a big guy. He's got power and can really run, him and Melton. So we've got some speed. We're able to put some guys out there that can really run. And as you know, our field plays a little bit smaller to left, sometimes too small to left field with that wind blowing out. And so I like to have a little bit of right-handed presence in there, which we have a little bit more of, and Haley added that other dimension. Haley's a guy that he could mishit it and hit it out to left. So we'll have another right-handed hitter or two in there to kind of utilize the wind and a guy that can get it up there. But yeah, that's who I see in right field.
Well, I guess they probably want to hear about pitching, so.
Yeah.
You want to start? Yeah. Let's start rotation.
Yeah,
then.
Pitching is the key. Pitching and defense, and everyone. We start Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So we open up when we play 4 games, and our first 3 guys are out of the transfer portal. Now, 2 of those 3 we recruited out of high school, and they went to Auburn, and. I know I'm going to get a question about the transfer portal, and I'll say this. I am for the transfer portal. I'm all for it because I think, and I tell our players this, the guy that doesn't want to be here, I'll drive him over to compliance. I'll drop you off in the portal myself, right? But we are going to get some of the right players here. We're going to get the right guys that, for whatever reason, was at Joe Blow Power 5 up the road, and they don't feel like being lied to anymore. And this is going to be a place where they can come and go, man, I should have signed here to begin with, and I'll say I told you so, and let's go. So, and that's kind of been what's happening. Now, will it get us? I'm not stupid enough to think that we're not going to lose a guy to the portal and NIL money. That's another aspect. I'm fine with the portal. I'm not fine with the portal and no guardrails on the NIL, the way they're paying these kids. It's ridiculous. I'm fine for them getting paid. I really am, but the way it is, it's the Wild West. So 3 of our starters, our rotation right now, we're out of the transfer portal. And I won't give the order yet, but Cam Hill came here as a 2-way guy, 6'4", left-handed pitcher. He's been really good, 88 to 93, 94. Good changeup, good slider, good athlete, really good. He's going to be one of the in opening weekend, he'll start a game. Carson Swilling was on that 22 Auburn team that went to Omaha. He had 70-some-odd innings. He helped pitch them. Without him, they probably don't make it out of a regional or super regional. So he was huge for them. He's been good for us so far. Had a nagging ankle, sprained his ankle, stepped off the mound wrong, sprained his ankle. So you're dealing with some of that. That set him back a little bit, but I think he'll be ready for the weekend. We might push him back to give him another day or 2, but he should be ready. And it's experience, and it's 90 to 94, 95 with a good curveball, a good changeup. He's good. He's got experience. He's been around the block, He's been good. And Cade Carlson, transfer from East Tennessee, graduated from there and had 1 year left. And I thought, Mags and Brad did a phenomenal job getting him out of the transfer portal, because that's the kind of guy that ends up at, he's from Indiana. That's the kind of guy that ends up at Ohio State, Indiana, Purdue, something like that. And we got him. And this is a guy that threw 50 some odd innings and had a 3.4 ERA last year. So he's pitched against Tennessee. He's pitched against College of Charleston. He's pitched this, he's played at this level and has been very, very successful. Leif Moore, returner. Again, he had some setbacks last year, had some medical issues that put him on hold. Finished the year for us really on Friday and did an admirable job for a guy that really physically was behind the 8 ball getting prepared. He's better. He's made a jump. He's been good for us. For us, Mitch Herr, last year, he was our Sunday starter and was very, very, very good. He started against Alabama, I think punched out the side up to 96, and had Tommy John surgery at the end of the year. Missed the last couple weeks of our season, and it was the brace surgery, but he is on his way back. A couple really good arms are coming back off of Tommy John. Zach Stevens, who's a freshman, that's another starter candidate. I know you wanted the rotation, but Zach Stevens, all high school kids are starters by nature. Zach had Tommy John surgery May 4th, and his last couple times out, he's 90, 94, touched 95, just a freshman. He was in that 21 class, and he's been outstanding. Couple pitches for strikes. He reminds me, he's a Jeremy Lee, but might be a little more polished out of high school. That's what he's like. Coming off Tommy John, going to use him judiciously, going to be careful, If it was up to the kid, he'd throw 100 pitches first time out, but sometimes we got to save these guys from themselves. And I told him that. Mitch isn't quite as far along as Zach is, but Mitch is climbing. He sees the doctor Monday. He'll get cleared. He'll probably face some hitters Tuesday, and then you might see him for an inning the following weekend. Zach Stevens, you'll probably see for 2 or 3 innings. We got another transfer, local kid from Jacksonville State, Eli Zielinski. We faced him last year. And he was probably the best lefty we faced all year long. He was nasty. And he, you can fill in the blank here. Had Tommy John. He had Tommy John surgery. He was a freshman All-American, threw 50 innings with a 2.9 ERA. And that guy, he is really, really good. So he is closing in, was it 9 months, Brad, right now? So he had the full Tommy John. There's 2 different kinds of Tommy John. You got the full Tommy John, which takes a little over a year, and now they got the new procedure. It's the brace. It's a 6 to 8 month deal. And so we have 2 guys coming off the brace surgery and 2 guys coming off the full. John Gillis is 16 months. He'll help us. He's fully healthy. And Zielinski is not quite there yet, but he's so talented that I'm going to start the year. He's going to be on the 40-man roster. He's going to be on the list. Now, he won't be ready for the first couple weeks. He'll be throwing bullpens, and we're going to do it right and bring him along. But it's one of those things where he could be such a complementary piece as the season rolls along. You start getting into week 5, 6, 7, and he's throwing 1 innings, 2 innings once a week. And maybe by week 10, he's throwing 3 or 4 innings. And then as we're closing in on postseason, maybe he's the guy that you get 4 to 5 innings out of. You got to face a lefty up to 92, 93 with a really good changeup, because that's what he is, and a good curveball. So we're thrilled to have him. He's outstanding, and he just keeps working and climbing and working and climbing. So we're excited about the prospects of getting him back here in the not so distant future. But he's really, really good. And I mentioned those guys because those are like the starter. You mentioned the rotation, and I love the 3 guys that will run out there right now, or the 4 guys. I love that. I do think some of those middle bridge innings, you're going to see some freshmen out there. You're going to see some new faces, some talented guys. But to me, that's how we're going to break through and get to a super and ultimately get to the College World Series, by having some younger kids that grow up in the program. Take their lumps, but keep going,
Got some returners in the pen as well. Yeah. Grant Wood's one of them. Yeah. I don't know if you folks have seen the Wise Words, I should say, with Grant Wood on social media. Coach, would you take any advice from Grant Wood?
No. No, I would not.
That sounds about right.
But I love Grant Wood. Grant Wood was offered a free agent they offer, I don't know, 50,000, 25, 50,000 this summer. And he said, no, I'm not. I've got unfinished business at South. We all have a bad taste in our mouth from last year. He said, I have unfinished business, and we're going to get back to where we need to be. So he's been really good. My big thing with him, he was skinny. He's just skinny. He'll touch a 95, but then his low number would be 89, 90. And I'm like, Grant, man, you need to try to get weight on. And I'm like, you need to try to get to 200. Every time he was at 200, he was throwing 92. When it dropped below that, he'd go to 89, 90. And I'm like, that's not going to get us where we need to go. Well, he's at 213 now. And his lowest number as of right now is 93. And it's been a little bit chilly. It used to be he'd go down to 90 and touch a 94, 95, but 90, 91. He's been sitting 93, 94, and is not even in full shape yet. He's been pretty darn good, and he's got that experience. He's been in the fire. And then Gant Starling. I think we have, when you look, championship teams have certain DNA that they share. They really do. And obviously it's starting pitching, and then you have guys at the end. So you have guys that can start the game, and you have guys that can finish off the game. You need to be good all throughout the game. But in terms of looking at common denominators, it's solid pitching that keep you in position, and then some guys at the end of the game that can grab it and run with it. And I think with Gant Starling in the fold, he's a guy, if the other night he was 94, 95, he's been up to 97, but a really, really good slider. So in his slider, 88 to 91. I mean, it's crazy how hard some of these guys throw now. And this is a guy transfer from the Citadel, has pitched some huge innings. He was a guy, even though he was a reliever, they were bringing him in the second inning, the ninth inning. For us, we don't need that. He's just going to be, from in the late innings. He and Grant Wood should be able to shut some teams down at the end of the game.
Well, just overall with this squad, what is it that you like the most coming into the 24 season? What do you like the most about the makeup of this team?
What I like the most is that how they like each other. That's what I've seen, because that's another common denominator of championship teams. They like each other. You got to be good enough. I've had teams that didn't get into the postseason that liked each other, but this year these guys, man, and we have some experience, but they really do like each other. Now, we haven't lost a game, and everyone's playing inter squads. I haven't subbed anyone out yet. Everyone's in a good mood. So we'll see if they can handle their business like men. But I think this group, they have been exemplary from day one. Again, when you don't have many issues off the field, you usually have your most success on the field. When I'm not having to deal with ticky-tack nonsense and, run down, making sure they're in class and study hall. And, when you got guys that handle their business, I tell them, man, you want to be the man, you got to act like a man. So, that's if they want to be the team, they got to have a bunch of guys that act like men and handle their business on and off the field. So far, so good. Again, we're 0-0. We are 0-0, but we're undefeated. I love it. I know we will not end that way. We will lose at least one. But the thing is, man, in baseball, you're going to lose. You got to like the guys that you're losing with. Someone asked me today, one of my players asked me today, he's like, Coach, what was the thing, what year did you guys won it in 10, the national championship, like in 10? He's like, and he asked some great questions. He said, what was one of the things that really stood out about that team? And I think he was expecting me to say, well, we had guys that threw 96, which we didn't. I said that team, we were 9-7. I said that team lost better than any team I'd ever seen. They didn't like losing, but there was no hangover the next day. They bounced back. There was no finger pointing. And again, we were 9-7. That's not a good start. We were 9-7. So it wasn't like we were 0-3. No, we were a third of the way almost through the season. And those guys, they handled getting knocked to the mat, they just got up better than any team I had ever seen. And it never bled into the next day. Again, there was no blaming. There was nothing. They just showed up and just kept working together, playing together. And that was the thing that stands out to me most about that team. We had good players. I remember winning it all. It was great. Love those kids. Love them. In touch with them. They'll text me still to this day. But how much they liked each other and just the kind of men they were when they lost. Because it's easy to be a good guy when you win. God, it's easy when things are going your way. But how about when you suck? How about when things aren't going your way? Like that's, to me, you want to judge a friend, when you need somebody, you were there or you're not there. How are you when things aren't going your way? And that was the best team I'd ever been around. But that goes back, they liked each other. They were pulling for each other. The one guy wasn't, God, I hope he steps on a banana peel. I want to play his position. Like they were pulling for the dude that was playing over them in the same position. And it was genuine. So again, there's certain characteristics and traits that you look for that if you don't have them, you got no chance. You can have great players, and if they don't work hard or they don't do things right, you got no chance of winning the real games that you want to win. It just doesn't happen. So far, and some of these guys, I've been around them. I've been around them a couple years, so we're not that new team anymore. And I know enough about their character where, there's some good character kids on this team, man. There really are. There are some young men. I call them kids, but there's some good character on this team.
Well, that's all the questions I have.
Let's put it this way. So we had two players. We were going to do tarp. Sorry, JT.
You're good. This will
show, explain it. So we got rain coming in. We're behind in inter squads about 3 games right now. It is what it is. There's nothing you can do.
It's Mardi Gras. It has to rain.
Right. It's Mardi Gras. It has to rain. No, it's closing in on Jag baseball. It has to rain. So we got 2 players that share the same birthday, and these guys really bond this team. And I'm like, all right, listen, I don't want to put the tarp on longer. We're going to have it on and off a couple times. I don't want to put the tarp on now. I'm going to wait till 9 o'clock tonight. And I didn't think twice about it. We're going to put it on at 9, and we're going to get it off tomorrow in the morning and kind of fold it and see what we've got to do. And one of the guys said, hey, man, they were like throwing a birthday party they were taking 2 of the players out and going out to dinner and celebrating their birthday, could you? And I'm like, you know what? These guys are really serious about each other. So I'm like, you know what? Put the tarp on now. Forget 9 o'clock. Go take the guys out to eat and, be a team. There's been some other teams I'm like, I don't care if it's 5 guys' birthday. We're putting the tarp on at 9 o'clock. But this team, there's something different. There's something different. Like to me, them going out or celebrating these 2 guys, it matters. It's important. And if it's that important to them, then it's important to me. So, who cares about the tarp? Between 5 and 9 o'clock, who really cares? It mattered to them. So we put the tarp on when we finished, and now they can do what they do at 9 o'clock and be with each other and, have a birthday party. Wearing the hats and blowing the horns. I don't know what they're doing, but drinking Capri Suns, they better.
Sure. Well, Coach, that's all the questions.
Or you 2 will be pinch runners back there in the corner.
That's all the questions I've got for you. If any of y'all have a question for Coach, just raise your hand. We'll go around the room here.
So, Coach, I imagine another common denominator of your best teams is you have good leadership among the players. And I suspect, I'd like to know what you think about the leadership. I'm sure these guys are pretty good leaders.
That's a great question. And we do. That's one of the things that has really stood out to me. And it's not just one. I think sometimes I declared captains last year. I haven't been big on that because I think you put a roof on guys that have that leadership mentality, but they're like, I wasn't pick a captain. I want guys to be free to be leaders, whether you're a freshman. If you got the right makeup, you got the right makeup. And I think this team is full of leaders right now. I really do. You got 2 of them in the back there. I just think that we've got young guys that, these guys are just, they got the right makeup. They really do. They really do. It's by the way they practice and by the way they handle themselves. And and I'm not going to declare 11 captains. That would be overkill. But it's like you can't win without the right, and it starts with me. But you can't win without the right leadership, and your best leader might not be the guy that plays every day. But it's that guy that wants to win and looks out for everybody. We got some of those guys too that will not play a lot but are the right people. And we got guys that will play a lot and they are the right people. So there's a lot of the right people in that clubhouse. There's very, very good leadership on this team. It'll be tested, like baseball will test it like no other, because you have more opportunities, but you also have more opportunities to grow as well. Football, you got once a week, you got 12 of them, and this, you got 4, sometimes 5, and you got 56. Hopefully get into the 60s, with your game. Then you really see. That's when leaders emerge, and leaders, as you know, they emerge when times are the worst. That's when you see who your real leaders are. But I think we have the capability to have a bunch of them.
In the back.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about the non-conference schedule?
Yes, sir. I really like our non-conference schedule. It was, we open up obviously with that 4-game tournament. And then you got your Southeastern Louisianas in there. Auburn in Montgomery, Alabama there, Mississippi State in Biloxi, New Orleans, Tulane. We have Jacksonville State coming here. UNC Wilmington, who's a perennial postseason team. UNC Wilmington coming here week 3, and then we go to Nebraska week 4 for a 3-game set. It's something where you handle your business with your in league and with your non-conference schedule. You handle your business. It's a schedule that helps build a resume, obviously for the committee and your RPI and things of that nature. We could play some schools. I said it. I said it publicly last year, and I shouldn't do that. But I'm like, in here, I named the school. I shouldn't have done that. But we could play some schools that are much lesser opponents to rack up wins. But to me, my job is to put this program, amongst other things, but my job is to put this program and these players in a chance to be successful, in position to be successful. Not a phony sense of security, but play the best possible schedule we can play and go out there and strap it on and go play them, and got to go on the road. And, we've been to Arkansas and we've been all over the place. We'll go anywhere and play anybody. I do like the fact that we're at home a lot early. I think that's good. But yeah, our non-conference schedule is challenging, and it's kind of one of those sneaky good, you handle your business, it'll really help with that RPI, and you got to handle your business in the league as well. But yeah, so I'm excited with our non-conference schedule. Yes, sir.
I have a question about, JT mentioned the pitching clock will be in use this year. Will that take some time to get used to, or can you quickly explain how it's going to work?
Well, they had it in play. They had it last year. So last year, that was a nightmare. It really was. We got the clock. The clock has been installed, so we've been able to. They were lenient because not everybody. They were with it with the Power 5 schools, so they had that the year before. We did not have the clock. It was hard, so you'd use a stopwatch, and it's really you got it where the pitcher can see it and the hitter can see it, and it's 20 seconds from when the pitcher engages the rubber, gets the ball back. It's 20 seconds. We use it every day in inter squads. But last year when they started calling, it wasn't a huge emphasis until it was. I'm like, we have no clock. How are we supposed to do this? I guess we're just going to do this, but that's what it was. So it's been a lot more comfortable this year. We've got the clock out there, and our players are used to it now. Our players are used to it. Yeah. Yes, sir.
What about Sun Belt competition this year?
Yes, Sun Belt is extremely competitive. We skip. I'll say this. I'll say who we skip. We skip Coastal, and who else? Georgia Southern, and Marshall, and we play the rest. We go to Lafayette. Southern Miss comes to us. I believe we go to Georgia State. Georgia State comes here. We go to Old Dominion. We go to Texas State. You get the idea. Troy. We go to Troy. Yeah. So I'll be at the Golden Corral for a couple days if you need to find me at Troy. The Golden Corral or Walmart if you guys need to find me while I'm there. Yeah. But the Sun Belt is, it's always been a good league and it's gotten better. No question about it. And now you're dealing with NIL money, and we got some teams in our league that they're doing it. They're doing it. Right down the road, Southern Miss, they're $5 to $50 grand per player, and it's
Anybody can donate to that too, right?
anyone can donate it to it. Absolutely. And we need it. I'll be honest with you, we need it. It's I don't have to like it, but it's as long as it's done correctly and by the rules, it's the way of the world now. It's the way of the world now, So it's out there, and it's not just, Ohio State football. It's in college baseball, and it's in the Sun Belt. It's in the Sun Belt, and it ain't going away. It's not going away. So it's just how it goes. Yes.
Seems like we're gonna have more power this year. We got any bunter?
We got a couple.
I know they don't like to bunt, but do we have any, when it got to be the game on the range, we got some people can bunt?
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We have a bunch of guys that can do it. Will I ask Sully and Turner to bunt a whole lot? Probably not. But they work on it as much as the other guys do in case we need to, But there's some guys that, and they know who they are, that, and it's like anything else in this game or really in life. Some are better at it than others. Like one guy could bunt 1,000 times and the other guy can bunt 1,000, and this one guy is better. So we have guys that are better at it, and we have some guys that, yes, it will be part of their game. Hopefully Brennan Holt, because he can really run. We got some guys that'll put it down, or that we will, like a safety squeeze or a double squeeze or things of that nature. A couple guys that can bunt for a base hit. Like if they try to, with Turner and Sully, with Will and Joe, if they're going to put the shift on them, and it's wide open, or then take it. Take it if it's there. Do I want them? Would I rather them hit a double? Hell yeah, I would rather them hit a double. But if it's there and they need to put it down, he's facing that tough lefty that day and he might need to drop, then go ahead and do it. So it's there. But yes, we do practice that on a daily.
Do you have any on the team that you can depend on, that they're able to hit? I mean, they don't have to. Are they going to be free to be able to hit, or are you going to be going to coach?
Holt. Oh, yeah. No, Brennan Holt will bunt for a base hit. Rhett Johnson will bunt for a base hit. He's a freshman. Will he be in there? Don't know. He could be starting every day, or he's a freshman. He could be a utility guy. Ryan Story has been bunting for base hits, can run. So we have some guys that bunt for a base hit as part of their offense. Yes, sir. There are a couple other pitchers. A guy like Logan Wash, who has been nasty. The two guys in the back can testify to that. Second-year guy, last year, JUCO guy, and had some ups and downs, and he's been really, really good. He'll be at the back end of a game, seventh, or coming out of the pen, and if I don't, with the starters at 100 pitches and in the fifth with one out, and they got left, right, I'm going to go to Wash if the game's on the line. So him and Diaz has a little bit of a hamstring. He's been out so far, but Wash was one of those guys that I like come out of the pen too. There's others in there, but he's done really, really well.
Any other questions for Coach?
One more. When you coming up in the coaching range, who was your mentor?
I was really fortunate that I worked for two super successful coaches. They were different people, very, very different people, so I learned a couple different ways. But Danny Price at FIU, who should be in the Hall of Fame, He is fantastic. He was like a second father to me. Learned a lot of things from Danny. And Ray Tanner, who is in the Hall of Fame at South Carolina, he's the athletic director. I kind of look back on it. I learned more than what I thought I did while I was there. He was kind of the guy I appreciated after the fact, whereas Danny was the guy I appreciated while I was there, and then, since I've been gone. But those two guys have really been have really been a big part of my life, not just coaching, but off the field. Like, they cared about my daughter, they cared about my wife, they cared about things. It wasn't what they can wring out of you or drain out of you and how you can help them win. They cared more about things that are more important than that, like life, and so those guys were two of my mentors. Lucky to have spent a lot of time around both of them.
Last call for questions for Coach. All right, Coach. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate y'all being here.
Will Turner. Well, just first off, Will, how you feeling coming into the season?
I feel really good. I'm super excited about this team, like Coach Calvi talked about. Coach Maggs and him did a great job bringing the guys in that we needed to bring in, especially pitching. Swilling, Cam, Cade, all those guys are really good for us. And, all the young guys, having a lot more than usual is super cool, especially for me and Sully to see. They work super hard, and, they respect the older guys. They want to learn. They want to get better. I'm looking forward to it.
You spent the summer in the Cape Cod League, and for folks that don't know, that is some tough stuff up there that you're facing every day. Just how was that experience?
It was amazing. I tell people that it's the purest form of baseball that I've ever played. You're playing with no lights and grass that's, up to here. So I'm not playing at the stank. It makes me appreciate it a lot more. Just being able to compete against the best in the country was truly a blessing. It was a dream of mine. I'm super grateful for it.
Now, part of that too, you're playing in tall grass, and it's baseball almost 24/7. You're staying with a host family. You're sleeping on a couch and waking up and just playing ball. Just how fun was that 2 months for you, man?
It was a blast. It makes you really appreciate the game. It makes you appreciate kind of what you have here at school. Really, you got a nice, comfortable bed. You got people that you're comfortable with. Relationships that you've built. Up there, like JT said, I was having to sleep on a couch every day in a basement. But the thing that kept me going was that I was able to play baseball the next day. So it was just super cool.
You got to take a BP in Fenway Park, right?
I did.
And you cleared it. You cleared the monster.
I did, somehow.
Just how do you feel like that experience playing in the Cape and that level of baseball helped you for this season and moving forward?
Just reps, really, and seeing arms that are, have consistently good stuff every single day. I was seeing 93 to 100 every day, and it was super fun because the competitiveness in me just wanted to beat those guys, and it just made me appreciate the game and kind of gave me a confidence boost, being up there, and don't want my head to get too big, because I haven't done anything yet, but it just helped me a lot, helped me clean up my game and just learn a lot more about the game.
You told me back in the fall, it's Omaha or bust for you guys. It's kind of the mentality you've got. You want to be the first team at South Alabama to go to Omaha. Just where did that mentality start for you guys?
I think Sully can attest to this too. This is something that we've been wanting to do since we got on campus. And especially like the guys we brought in this year, we have such a good group. And if there's going to be a year that we do it, I think this is the year. And we've bought into that, and we want to go all in. We go hard. We practice hard. We hold each other accountable, which has been a very big thing. Guys aren't scared to say something, and guys won't get their feelings hurt. It's just super exciting, and that's what we want to do. We want to go to Omaha. We want to make this city proud. We want to make the people who have watched the program for a long time. We want to bring it back and put it back on the map, and especially after the past 2 seasons, bad taste in our mouth, and we just want to turn this thing around.
Coach talked about how close you guys are as a unit. I remember one of the inter squads in the fall, y'all were fired up over laying down a squeeze. Just how close together is this team, and just how fun does that make playing ball together?
I mean, compared to the past 2 years, it's like night and day. You don't have older guys who are, got work jobs lined up, who are not focused on baseball and winning. And we have guys who want to win because, we've made that a point that what we want to do is win. And everyone's on the same page for the first time since I've been here. And it builds confidence within the group. You want what's best for your teammates, and they want what's best for you. Like, you don't have guys preying on your downfall, trying to take your spot. They respect what you're doing, you respect what they're doing, and you just try to make them better. We want to push each other as hard as we can to be the best that we can be, so we can take that next step and get past that regional and super regional and then to the World Series.
You've had some well-deserved preseason draft projections from MLB and D1 baseball as well, but just what do you want to accomplish before you leave South Alabama this year?
First things first, I just want to be the best teammate I can be, and I haven't gone anywhere yet. I haven't done anything yet here, and I'm focused on the here and the now and the moment. The draft's going to come when it comes, and Sully dealt with it last year, so he's been able to kind of help me through the pressures and things like that. But pressure's a privilege, and if you don't see it that way, then you're not going to persevere and go to the next level. But I want to win here. I had a chance to leave last year with the transfer portal and NIL and all that, but my goal is to win here and take this team to the World Series and be the first team to go in school history.
Anyone got any questions for Will Turner up here? No questions.
Yes, sir.
Will Turner.
Thank y'all.
All right, and we'll bring up our final student athletes, junior outfielder from Birmingham, Joseph Sullivan. All right, Sully, you've also, you're kind of in the same boat with Will Turner, a big summer and playing in the draft league as well. Just what was that experience like?
It was awesome. I always say summer ball is probably one of my favorite times to kind of get away from everything and just focus on the game. And also, for me, relationships is one of the biggest things that you'll get to experience. And playing with a bunch of other guys from different schools and different backgrounds and cultures, it's pretty awesome. The draft league, very competitive. It's probably, I think, 3 years now, so fairly new league, but they definitely did it the right way. You're playing in front of a lot of people, just handling some of the experience and pressures that you can face back here too. And so just kind of like what Will was saying, getting out and playing throughout the summer is definitely where I've seen the most growth in my career so far. And so just the more you play, the better experience you'll get.
You got a little banged up in the fall. You're feeling good now, right?
Yeah, had some wrist tendonitis and some shoulder issues, but got those cleared up and ready to go.
In the summer, you were teammates with Colson Lawrence for a while, obviously former Jag here before he got drafted. Just what was that experience like playing with him just kind of somewhere else?
Yeah, so if you know Colson, he's the big monster-looking guy. He's 6'4", 6'5", 220-some pounds, super quiet. I never got super close with him here, with him being an outfielder too, but also a pitcher. He did kind of different things than me. But playing with him, we got super close, and he opened up to me. He never really opened up here, unless if you were his roommate. But dude, he's one of the funniest people I've ever met, and we got to go out and hang out with each other, and it was awesome. And he also got drafted, and so he tore it up there, and it was fun playing with him.
There was another former teammate in that same league, Jeremy Lee, was playing for a different team. Did you face him?
I didn't get to face him, but Colson did. I think Colson lined out up the middle, and but it was just cool to get to play against him as well. and just taking pictures in different jerseys was different. But he got drafted as well, so good for them.
Let's talk about this upcoming season. Just how excited are you to get it going for 24?
This is the most excited I've been for a season as well. Just with the guys and unity, we're on the same page, and I'm fired up. We all get after it. Practice culture is huge for us. Coach always talks about standard, and we'll have a good day, and then he's like, okay, now this is the standard that we got to get at. And so every day, and even today, was a great practice, and just elevating that standard and keeping each other accountable is massive.
You play with power and you play with speed, and the way we're kind of changing the way we're doing things offensively. Just how do you like how more aggressive we are?
It's going to be great. There were times last year where I was on the bases, and I felt like I didn't prepare myself well enough, whether it be stealing bags or whatever. But bringing Coach Mountain and Coach Corley, they've done a great job this year of making that a very big emphasis on our game. And with how South has been in the past, super aggressive. We have definitely put the work in and made the pitchers handle it as well, so they'll be able to withstand that. But also, just super aggressive. We got the pieces, got the power. We're ready.
Someone mentioned the pitch clock earlier. Are you guys able to kind of manipulate that a little bit and use that to your advantage on the base paths?
Definitely. So there's 20-second pitch clock, and they've got only a certain amount of times they can pick off. And so with base runners, we can be aware of how many times they've picked off, and also what time they have to pitch to the plate. And so if we see that the time's running down, you can almost gamble, steal it, and be ready for just the pitch, and knowing that they can't pick off if they've already picked off a certain amount of times. And so you can definitely use the pitch clock to your advantage. I've talked to some of my buddies that are playing professionally, and kind of how to navigate that. And so it's going to be good.
We've also got some draft projections as well. Just again, kind of the same question we landed with Will. Just what do you want to accomplish here in the 24 season?
Loyalty is one of the biggest things for me, and Coach Calvey recruited me back when I was in high school, and having the opportunity to go this past year, I just thought back. One, I felt like I needed to leave some place better than I found it, and two, after talking with Mags, they've played a little bit as a freshman and just didn't handle the pressures and the failures the right way first, because I never really experienced failure when you're sheltered at home, or you've only had success in your baseball career when you're playing in high school. But coming here at college, it's a different level for sure. And the internal pressures really that I was putting on myself, that a lot of people kind of deal with as athletes, but the loyalty of them continue to run me out there and just let me figure it out on my own, and then go over and play summer ball. It was great, and I can't thank them enough for that. And like other programs, maybe SEC or whatever, they always stuck with me and believed in me, even when I didn't believe myself, honestly. And it's made me the player that I am now. And so coming back here and wanting to do what we know we can do and prove to everybody else that we are good enough, and we're going to do it. And so I'm fired up this year. And just last year, it didn't feel as personal, losing, and that really made me angry. And so making it personal this year, even in inter squads and in the fall, if you lose, that's a big deal, and just the mindset that you have to have, and kind of as older guys and being the leaders, so we got to be the standard and let the younger guys know, and everybody else too, that this is what it's going to take. We've been through it. We've had the rough seasons. Some of the transfer portal guys didn't experience what we did last year, and so letting them know this is where we're at, and this is what's going to happen.
Anyone got any questions for Joseph Sullivan? All right, Sully, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank y'all.